By continuing in the meeting, you are consenting to being recorded. I guess so. I guess we have to do this, don't we?
Yeah, you
What's
do.
up, everybody? What's up, everybody? Welcome back to episode. We haven't done this in so long. I forgot. What are we on? Episode 17?
I don't know, somewhere in the teens. Season 2, episode something.
All right, I'm going to look it up real quick just because.
Season 2, episode 17.
My goodness, we are on 17, huh?
Yep.
It's been a little bit. Work gets a little crazy for us adults here and there.
Yeah.
But we are back. We are here with another episode, and we do have a plan to put out actual, weekly episodes from here on out. So don't you worry. This is the last break that I think we're going to have, hopefully, for a little bit of time. But welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to another episode. Quite frankly, don't know what to call this one. This is a Connor episode. So after we get the scarf of the week, I'll let him take it away. But you got anything cool for scarf of the week?
No, I just recycled the Atlanta scarf that I got.
Ew, in the mud.
We're turning it around. Don't worry about it.
I do not want to see, in honor of Adam, who I don't think is ever coming back. I think he's been brainwashed into the lifting cult of wherever he's at. You are not allowed to bring another Atlanta scarf on here unless it is the Pokemon Machop that we saw in the group
That was
chat.
such an amazing scarf.
You are not allowed to bring any more Atlanta stuff until that scarf is in your apartment.
I need to find out where that scarf came from.
You need to.
Because I will absolutely get that scarf.
We definitely do. I need to start picking up some more scarves as well. I really want to do another mystery scarf one, but I want to do more MLS stuff. So I'm not sure where I'm going to go with that. But as we are recording on the day of the Gold Cup quarterfinal, breaking out all reliable. Hopefully they can pull off a result against a really good Jamaican side. And hopefully we can get a good matchup with Qatar. Qatar's looked very good, but also very shaky at the back. So hopefully we can get past this tough Jamaican team. We can go up for a really good contest against the visitors.
Yeah. Then we get Mexico in the final.
And Mexico in the final, yep, who blew Honduras out of the water last night.
Yeah.
All right, take it away. I'm not quite sure exactly how to describe it, but I'll let you do that.
Yeah, I can't really describe it either. Just kind of like a bit more of a free-flowing episode. I got a couple of topic points here just to help to drive the conversation a little bit. But one thing that I think people who listen to this podcast know that we like to do is ramble. We like, especially Andrew, big rambler.
I'm not a rambler.
Yeah, okay.
I put in quality talking points all the time.
Mention one thing Red Bull and you will go off on a tangent for like 10 minutes. And that's only if we stop you. But regardless, got a couple of talking points here that we could kind of help to drive the discussion a little bit. But most of the time, it's just going to be a bit more just free conversation, just talking whatever's on our mind, probably staying on topic, but also, if the topic ends up going elsewhere, that's fine. We'll just go with it. But just wanted to try out maybe a little something a bit more open-ended, not so regiment to a script.
I'm cool with it. I think I think it's usually how we do it anyway, but it'd probably be a good. And if this goes well, because it feels like this will go pretty well. Maybe this is the way we attack things from here on out. Who knows?
Yeah, sure. So let's dive into the first topic I got on my list. So I believe it was this week where news came out that Chris Mueller is going to be going to Hibernian in Scotland. Yep.
Massive.
So this is actually the second move, I believe, this window of someone from MLS going to Scotland, because Christian Ramirez went to Aberdeen. I also know that Atlanta has a very good relationship with Aberdeen. So my question for you, seems like there's at least a growing link between MLS and Scotland. what do you think of Scotland as a landing spot for MLS guys to get their feet wet in Europe?
I think it is a lot better than throwing them into a major European side to get loaned out a million times, a la Matt Miazga, right? Am I saying if Matt Miazga started his life in Scotland or in the Netherlands, would he be an automatic starter right now? No. But I think it'd be a lot better than moving country, getting established in a new team, getting loaned out, moving to another country, trying to get established there, knowing you're not going to be there forever, going back, just get loaned out again. Mentally, that's really tough. Now, the level of the Scottish Premier League is not nearly as high as I think a lot of our players can play at. However, I think it's a good start to continue to showcase. If you're going to the Celtics, the Rangers, the Hibs, the teams that kind of can punch higher in that table, you will get to show yourself off a little bit. You'll get to show off what you can do. And if you can perform, then you make your move elsewhere, right? And like you said, now you have your feet wet. You're kind of used to playing in that atmosphere, that weather, that timetable, right? Because the timetable is different too. You look at players like Areola or Jordan Morris, even though he did get hurt, right? But those loans to higher level, close to Premier League sides, they kind of flopped a little bit. So it's not the highest level. I love Belgium and I love German, like second division is a good. It feels like a good start. Maybe not second division anymore, more closer to the first division, but that feels like a really good level for us. I think outside of Celtic and Rangers, I think that's a lower level than where they need to be at eventually. But as a starting point, I got no problem with it.
Yeah, I mean, we're seeing nowadays, like obviously Germany's always been a hot spot for American players to come over into Europe, and Italy is really starting to become a hot spot. We've seen like Tanner Tessman get his move, and then Gianluca Busio is also being rumored a lot. Brian Reynolds just went there, and Weston McKennie's there. So, those are two of the areas where I think those are big jumping points for guys coming from MLS. I think obviously that's great. Major divisions in Europe like that will obviously, they will be showcased. They will be playing against the best talent. They will be training with the best talent. Obviously great for their development. I just worry about like kind of like what you said with the Matt Miazga effect. Like you come over to this big team and then you just get benched the whole time. Like that's not going to be helpful, or you just get loaned out. I think I actually personally really like Scotland as a landing spot for these teams, for these players, because I think they could realistically like get very solid game time there. Like someone like Chris Mueller will probably be starting like week in, week out. And obviously Celtic and Rangers kind of like run that division there, and they're pretty much the winners every year. So those are going to be the guys in like the Champions League and stuff.
Right.
But like some of these lower teams get their shot at the
Europa
blanket. Yeah, I was thinking Euros in my head. I was like, that's not right.
No.
Yeah, they get their shot at the Europa League. I mean, those are like the big stages where you can really make a name for yourself. I mean, I think back to was it probably 2 years ago now, where Erling Haaland made a name for himself. Like obviously he was tearing it up in the Austrian league, but then where was the moment that he like really blew up on a global scale? It was in the Champions League when he was like scoring tons of goals for RB Salzburg.
Right.
So under American God Jesse Marsh.
Daddy Jesse.
I can like him now that he's not with Red Bull anymore.
Yeah, he is.
Sorry, Red Bull New York.
He's with parent company now.
Oh, he's made it to the big time. He's at headquarters now. but yeah, I think it's a great landing spot because you can get, some of that continental competition, and you get your chance to get starting game time. And like obviously, I would love our other countries like Belgium as well. Kind of like you mentioned, or the Netherlands. Um, for me, I would 100% rather a guy go to Scotland than to go to the championship in England. Like I would rather see Jordan Morris, Paul Ariolo, Daryl Dike go play at the top division where they can go possibly play like continental and go play like teams in other countries versus them being stuck in the championship going to play Stoke City.
Totally fair. I'm just looking up some things here. Hibs finished third last year in the Premiership.
That's pretty good.
Qualified for Europa League second round. That doesn't mean that they make the Europa League flat out, but they are playing international European competition, right? So did Aberdeen, by the way. So little cool little tidbit there. But yeah, listen, there's no Rangers finished on 102 points. They didn't lose a single game. Celtic finished 77 points, 5 losses, a couple draws. And then Hibs were 63 points. So you're still 14 points off even getting close to Champions League football. But again, you're right. It's a good start because you're going to be able to beat up on the teams that are a little bit lower than you. And you'll get to figure out what it's like to play against the best of the best, those guys who are up there. Listen, I have no problem with it. I think it can't be where they live forever, right? They got to make a move after that eventually. But as a landing spot, as a first step, no problem. Because I think it's also easier for them to get work visas in that country as well.
Yeah, I just, I like I like it better than them getting a move to like a second division where you're kind of just hoping that they get promoted, and then now they're all of a sudden they're in like a top division. But
right,
obviously that's like, that's not necessarily like relying on them. Like you got to hope that the team around them is also talented enough to get that jump. And I'd obviously prefer it over them going to like a big club where they're going to get no game time. Like,
right.
Obviously, we hope that like Brian Reynolds gets game time, but I don't know what that situation is going to look like for him.
Right. And I think we're past the point of oh, look, we have an American on a big team, right? We're past that hype phase of that happening. Is it great when they get over there? Sure. But is the more realistic option to grow the game and grow our team as a country, putting them in Portugal, putting them in Scotland, putting them all over the place, letting them play for these teams, and then coming back, understanding what it takes to be playing at a higher level than what MLS usually is? Absolutely. So I think we're over the hype of, oh my God, Matt Miazga got signed to Chelsea. Woo! What do you play? 14 games for them total?
That's probably generous.
I'm about to say that's probably generous. That means nothing to me. Let's get them settled. Let's put them into teams like Hibs, Aberdeen. Let's put them into Boa Vistas. Let's put them into all these teams. And then, I mean, look what happened, right? We send Reggie Cannon to Boa Vista. Automatically, he's getting looks to all these other teams. He was there for 6 months, and that's the pathway we should be taking. It shouldn't be let's throw them onto Real Madrid and never see their name again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that's spot on. That's the way I'm thinking as well. I mean, obviously, if they're talented enough to the point that we think that they can actually get game time at some of these bigger clubs, then of course, like we would obviously skip the middleman and just go right to the bigger club if they're going to get the game time. But I just can't see anybody from MLS going straight into like a major like powerhouse team. I just don't think that the talent is here yet.
No, absolutely. Yeah, no, like I said, it's kind of past the whole hype of, oh my God, we have a player on a big team, where now, because that doesn't help us, right? It does in a sense, but we need more people playing at higher levels, not just one person playing at a really big team. So I think this is a good move for a lot of us.
Yeah, agreed. All right, so kind of on that topic, relating to Chris Mueller's transfer. His transfer is a free transfer. He signed the end of contract. What's going on with Orlando? Do they just not like they had the whole transfer saga with Cyle Larin that was an absolute disaster. Now they're losing arguably they're a top 3 player on their team for free. What are the odds that they mess up this Daryl Dike transfer as well?
The odds. So here's how I picture this going. I picture this going like this. They put a price tag on his head. No Euro teams are willing to match it. They continue to play. He continues to ball out. Don't sell him for the price that they want to get him. DK puts in a request, and they sell him for half of what he's worth.
Yeah, I feel like that sounds about right. That sounds par of the course for Orlando in selling players.
Right, because what they do, they messed up. The Larin transfer was a disaster. Mm-hmm. Right. How long did it take him to get to Turkey because they were trying to play hardball and eventually ended up letting him go for less than he was worth? Now you're looking at Mueller moving on a free, which is criminal considering he's been your best player forever. You knew these were coming in. You knew they had to be coming in. And if they weren't, you should have signed him to an extension earlier so you could get something for him. But you didn't. And now you've got probably one of the best, if not the best, young striker in the – I'm not going to say in the entire world, but definitely in our pool, probably in our region. I'd say he's probably up there. If you put him with some of the better players, he'd definitely be up there. We saw what he did with Bardsley, right? We saw what he could do at an okay side, right? Barnsley wasn't top of the top. They were pushing to get promoted, whatever. So he's got the talent to be very good, but the reason I think this is going to be different, now I say they're going to sell him for half, right? That's a little bit of a joke / exaggeration. I think this is going to be different because I think people are starting to realize the value of American young players. I think that the value of these players has gone up increasingly. And if he continues to perform the way he does on the international stage, on the club stage, right? All these different, games, if he continues to perform the way he does, then they have every right not to get lowballed. Now what I think is going to happen is he's going to, all right, now I've got all these things going on in my head, right? So you could get an example where he is going to go into a cold stretch. Orlando are going to panic and they're going to panic sell and they're going to get nothing for him, which would suck. But what all right. So if you want I don't think, and now I'm rambling, right? Now we go into the rambling part. Do I think they're going to mess it up? Orlando will not mess it up, but the market's going to restabilize itself, and they're going to think I think he's going to go for less than what he probably should.
Yeah, I think I agree pretty much. I think that you're right in saying that people are starting to realize the value of talent that is coming out of Major League Soccer. And obviously we see that much more with, players going over to Europe. I mean, we've heard I've seen some of the rumored fees for Gianluca Busio. It's like 10 million. I thought that was much higher than I was expecting, but not to say that it's unjustified, but you got to figure that, if Busio is going for around 10 million, Daryl Dike's got to be going for more than that.
Oh, I mean, absolutely.
He's proved himself in Europe. Like that loan to Barnsley was such a great move for both his career and for Orlando. I mean, you showcased his value big time there. Now you got to get it to the finish line because you couldn't get it to the finish line with Barnsley. If Barnsley get promoted, DK's probably gone. You have your sale right there. No way Barnsley will let him go.
No, because he would have brought them up himself.
Yeah, and they would have had the money then to sign him. I think they would have, even if they stayed down, if they had a lot of money, they would sign him. but they don't. I feel like Orlando are going to look for a high price for him, like you said, and they're going to strike out on it. I still think it's important to the league that they get a good deal for him, because if we're going to be like a feeder league or seller league, then we have to do two things. One, we have to produce the talent that we could sell. And two, we have to know how to sell, which Orlando has proved they cannot do so far. Can't exactly sell if you let people go for free.
Right.
But you can't just keep letting the talent go for like these cheap prices. You got to be able to get the money and then reinvest it. That's the only way you're going to keep the cycle going. But if you just undersell all your players, you're going to run out of money eventually. I mean, that's a bit dramatic. Obviously, Orlando's not going to run out of money, but you see some of the other teams around the league, they don't really have this issue. So why is this happening with Orlando?
Orlando's been bad forever. This is the first time they're actually going to get good. So Orlando's been bad. People have wanted out. And now, I mean, what did they have to tell them, oh, no, you could stay, win championships with them? No, you couldn't. Orlando was awful. So, they let people go. Should they have not let them go on freeze? Sure. Should Cyle Larin transfer been as bad as it was? No. But that just comes with the territory of having an awful front office for so long. Now they've got things right, and they're gonna do better, I think. But again, it's all about how highly he's rated, and it's a long time before he's gonna get sold, right?
Yeah, it probably will be, but yeah, I mean, you look at some of the other teams and the sales that they've had. I mean, you look at like Atlanta with Miguel Almiron. You look at Sporting with Gianluca Busio, or FC Dallas with guys that don't even touch the field and they're selling them for millions.
Yeah.
Obviously some other teams in the league are getting it right. I feel like you got to take some notes on this, and because the potential's there. I mean, you could sell DK for huge money. I mean, you could be setting MLS records with his sale if you do it right.
Yeah, no, for sure. Hey, pause real quick.
Yeah. Okay, so the next topic on the list, I have down the USL promotion relegation that was brought up.
Very nice.
Yeah, so an article from The Athletic says USL proposes internal promotion relegation calendar change to differentiate from MLS as partnership dissolves. So, I know we've talked about Pro L a lot already, but what do you think about this proposal?
It is the right place to do it. By that, I mean, right, so USL, that partnership dissolving is not a bad thing, right? Because basically MLS is just turning into kind of the way the Premier League does theirs with their, Premier League 2 is just kind of its own independent league. And that's kind of where they are trending to. They're trending to take all the second teams affiliated with each MLS team and put them in their own league and letting them develop themselves without having to play, you got Red Bull 2 who are playing a bunch of 15, 16-year-old kids up against 30, 31-year-old guys playing in USL. Like it's kind of wild. So you allow USL to become its own little entity, where you've got USL 2, USL 1, USL Championship, work pro rel out there, right? Because and I know we have talked about this, but basically the mindset here is it's a much more stable, and it's a much more, I'm going to use the term logical. It makes more sense to do it here because MLS franchises are now going for something like $500 million if you do it right. Nobody is going to go ahead and put that much money in to expand a team in the first division just for them to go down the next year and lose half of it in a year. So that's a dumb investment. It's a bad investment. You get a USL side that maybe is, I don't even want to put a number on it. We'll say 100 million just for the fun of it. I think that's a high number. But if you go from USL to USL Championship, or USL Championship, USL 1, excuse me, Really, the only thing you're losing out on, maybe some ESPN Plus deal that is a couple million. The rest of it's all coming from the fans that you still have coming, the ticket sales that probably won't change, because I promise you're not going to drop, 100,000 tickets a year between USL Championship and USL 1. I promise you, because if you look at any USL Championship game outside of like Louisville City or Phoenix, you look at Red Bull 2 when they play. They've got like 300 people there. You're not breaking the bank if you go from 300 people to 250 people if you go from Championship to USL 1. It is a much smarter, much safer, much more realistic, much more realistic endeavor. I'll use the term endeavor because of what we just talked about. Now, the calendar thing, I'm not really psyched about. I get that you want to try and see if a European model will work. That's all great. The last thing anybody wants to do is go travel to upstate New York when Rochester joins the league in the middle of January when it is. You're up there now. I was up there a little bit ago. That's not fun. Upstate New York in the middle of January is not fun. So you are looking at more game cancellations. You're looking at less fans. You want to talk about lost money. There it is right there. So not super psyched about the calendar change. Excited to see what they can do with the Pro Rel. But here's the deal. People got to remember that if and when they do Pro Rel, which is great, it does not mean that this after 2 years it's going to immediately transfer into MLS, right? Because they talk about that partnership dissolving already. So you'd have to rekindle that partnership, which isn't a tough thing. You just get together and you start talking about it. But the risk is there. It's not like a Premier League to a championship level team where you're still going to have the 40,000 fans show up. You're still going to have TV rights. You're still going to have all this stuff that is still bringing you in money. It's not as much money, but you're basically, instead of making money in the Prem, you're breaking even. Or, instead of breaking even in the Prem, you're down 20 mil of your, $1 billion fortune, because everybody needs $1 billion, right? You're looking at $500 million dropping down to something, you're losing 4/5 of your investment if we want to go that much already. That is not something that's going to happen overnight. And we've talked about it. You got to get the USL expansion. You have to get the old owners out, the ones who aren't ready to risk that much money. You need to bring in new owners who think that they can put together a squad, and if they lose money, they lose money. USL franchise, goodness me. USL championships are 12 million in 2020, up from 10 million in 2019. So you're looking at literally 50 times your investment that you could lose like that. I mean, let me be more generous. The average in MLS is about 325 million. That is a lot of money. There is not a single person, 30 times your investment, you're losing like that. There's not a single person in the world who's going to do that. Literally, it's like you're putting down $100, and if you don't do something right, you're only bringing back 30. That's not good. So what needs to happen is the USL, in the individual USL franchise, needs to build itself up, become its own standalone kind of NASL type of league, but it's got to be like here. It's got to be next level. You need to take that expansion fee for USL from 12 million last year. It's got to go up to 200 million within a couple of years. If you want anybody to think about it and be like, yeah, maybe it is worth that investment. But right now, nobody's going to take that jump and be like, yeah, I can risk that much money. Even billionaires aren't that stupid. I mean, they are, but they're not like fiscally irresponsible like that. So there's my take.
I got a lot of thoughts on this as well. I agree with you 100% that this is the place to experiment with pro rel in the US. It's
and we've said that before, right? Sorry, I don't mean to cut you off. We've said that before. If it's going to happen, it's going to happen.
Yeah, as it should be. Because like you said, it's more consistent across the leagues where you're not going to have this jump or dip in value if you get relegated. With that being said, I don't know how much this is going to help USL. Like I see this article about them wanting to do pro rel. I don't know if it necessarily gets me to like hop on the USL hype train to like be an avid like game in, game out watcher. I don't know how many people would be like, yeah, I could follow the league now because it's pro rel. I just don't think people will. It might increase it a little bit. I just don't know if it'll take that jump, like a huge jump, if it goes to pro rel. I mean, maybe. I mean, maybe it does. Maybe it gets that much more exciting. You know, I think if it works out really well, you know, if they do the differentiation calendar from MLS and they play in the winter, you know, that's time where you could be watching games here where MLS is not playing. So if you want to watch, you know, like local soccer play, then that's your option. So I think that's, you know, I know you mentioned that, like, obviously nobody wants to come to upstate New York or like Minnesota in like January, obviously. But it's a great opportunity for them to, you know, take up some screen time when MLS isn't playing. Here's the issue, though. You may not be competing with MLS, but if you go with the European calendar, you're now competing with football, you're competing with basketball, you're competing with hockey, which obviously other areas of the world, not a concern. But here in the US, you are going up against literally like 3 absolutely major sports.
Not to mention the Premier League.
Yeah, and the Premier League.
not to mention the biggest league out.
I mean every league.
Probably the biggest league here.
Every league.
Yeah, I mean, you are looking at taking the literally and I hate to say this, but realistically an irrelevant league. And so before we go into that, what has to happen is the media needs to buy into it too, because it doesn't matter if they change their schedule, if they get pro relevant, if they're not showing their games somewhere, no one will watch. It's just that simple. Nobody's going to go track down a sketchy stream to watch a USL 1 program. It just won't work that way. So they got to get bought in. But even then, you are asking the culture that is the Euro snob of the world. We all know who we're talking about. The people who just look at everything that we do and say, there's no reason to watch this because it's bad. Sure, nobody's arguing that it's world class. Nobody. But you are asking those people now to put aside or at least watch all their Premier League in the morning, football in the afternoon, and then stick around and watch either you'd have to, you're right, you have to basketball, hockey, you know, night football, all that stuff. You're asking them to put all that aside so they can watch a USL soccer team. Now, I'm not saying there aren't good teams out there, right? Louisville City is a really good one. FCC, when they were there, were very, very good. Phoenix, great. There are clubs there that have a very, very good base to build around it and to draw people into enjoying it. But nobody's going to want to watch a team like, we'll go Queensbury FC, the new team that's going to be in Queens. If they don't get a soul, I mean, they're playing in a college arena, right? If they don't sell that thing out every single day and make it bumping, who's going to want to watch that? I won't. I mean, I'll watch it just because it's on. But nobody's going to actually watch that.
Yeah,
and that's going to be the big one.
New Yorkers are not going to like turn down watching like the Jets or the Giants so that they can watch Queensbury play.
Yeah, not a chance.
No.
And that'll be the issue.
One other thing that I was also thinking about, and you kind of touched upon it a little bit too, has to kind of like I believe, and maybe you can correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't there a very large kind of like entrance fee to join MLS if you're bringing in a new club?
Oh yeah, that's the expansion fee we're talking about.
Yeah.
I think that David Beckham, outside of David Beckham, excuse me, I believe, who is it? Nashville. I think Nashville dropped, or not Nashville. Charlotte. Charlotte's the new one coming up. I believe they dropped 400 million. I think that was the Charlotte expansion fee. I'll double check it.
Imagine, let's just say your team stays up. Imagine you're a new expansion team. You paid hundreds of $1,000,000 to join MLS. Your team stays.
It was 325 million. 325 million in December 2019 to land Charlotte.
Okay.
So that's where that number comes from.
So still hundreds of millions. So you're paying hundreds of $1,000,000 to get your team into the league. Your team has at least decent season. You stay up. You didn't get relegated. This team from USL is now in the same league as you and had to pay $0 to get there. Facts. Zero entrance fee. Facts. I would be so pissed off as an investor. I'd be like, I paid hundreds of $1,000,000 to join this league when I could have paid way less money to join.
Got into the lower league and worked my way up.
And then just got promoted for $0.
Yeah.
Not to say that, like, obviously you still have to invest and have a good team at a lower division to get promoted. But regardless, like, these teams are going to come up and pay like nothing to get into the league that has this ginormous barrier to entry because you got to pay hundreds of millions of dollars just to join the league. I think you would have to have, if you're going to do this, you have to have a like stable league for a while, because I would not want to be a team that just joins the league and then it's like the next season we're doing pro rel, and not only one can I risk losing all this value in my team by getting relegated, but now two, there's another team that's going to come up and have to pay hundreds of millions less than me, and now they're going to have this golden opportunity to have all of this money that they didn't have to spend to join the league.
I've never thought about it that way, but that's probably a good reason why we haven't done it already, is because everybody's in there. You know, I could see Robert Kraft being like, I paid 50 million back in 1996 to get this thing off the ground, and these guys paid 12 million and they're going to be in here. That's unfair. And he throws a fit and he says, I'm going to pull all my funding and Revs aren't going to exist. Then Daddy Don says like, no, hold on. But that's a really good point. My guess is you're going to need 5 to maybe even 10 years of non-expansion MLS before you can even think about putting this stuff in there. And you'd have to survive that, right? Because one of the big things that's keeping the league up in terms of like kind of engagement are all these new teams coming in, right? Who's going to be the new coach? Where they're going to play? What conference they're going to be in? What is their new thing they're going to bring in, right? Nashville's guitar riff or Atlanta's golden spike. What cool are they going to bring into the league? And I bring this up a lot, is where you'll have every expansion team will sell out season tickets first year, no question. NYC is probably the best example. They had 40. I think their average first year was like 42 something, 40,000 something. They are barely breaking 20,000 now. They've lost half of their support simply for the fact that they couldn't get a stadium. Portland's the same way. I love Portland. Portland was up at 40,000. They're down now closer to 29, I think. I haven't checked the numbers in a little bit. But I remember that everybody starts here and then goes like this. And then they eventually find a settle point where they're like, okay, this is where our normal fan base is. Now we can say this is our target. How do we get them up here, right? So that's the other thing is you're going to have to survive 5 to 10 years of just pure, I love my team and I'm going to support them every year, good, bad, or indifferent. And the league will still need to make money before we can even think about doing something like that. It's crazy. Right. So you're going to need to survive all that. And that is, that's a lot, right? And you need people to buy in and love the team. You need a culture of loving the team versus just enjoying a game, right? The same way that basketball has it, where you've got diehard Knicks fans, no matter how bad they are, they're going to be there. You got diehard Jet fans who, no matter how bad they are, they're going to be there. You don't really have that here, and that kind of ties back to what I was saying before. So I think you're a long time away from it, but this is a good start to see if it's possible. Because what I'd be tracking personally, if I'm in the league office of decision making, which I probably should be, but I'm not yet. I would be tracking what is the difference between. I mean, this is going to be a 4 or 5 year experiment before they even get a feel for if this is doable or not. But what is the difference between top level, the attendance level between top, lower, last, differences between promotion rel year by year? You need years worth of data before you can make any sort of answer on this. So sit tight, people. You're not getting pro rel just yet.
Yeah, kind of to one kind of like closing point for me, just to go back on what you were saying. The track record here proves that you really can't sustain, at least thus far, the track record has proved that you can't sustain like a consistent fan base, whether your team is being good or bad. Because you look at your Chicago's, like I saw something where Chicago had 8,000 fans at their last game, something like that. Like, or like your Colorado's. Like if these teams are performing poorly, their attendance numbers are awful.
Yep.
And then if they're performing at their best, yes, it's better. Is it great? No. But, the track record, and this is, relatively the same across all sports, where if your team is performing bad, your attendance numbers are going to go down. But I feel like the what's the right word? The variance in MLS between when your team is good and bad is just so much larger than other sports right now, which is kind of what you were saying. You just need some more consistency.
Yeah, I'm trying to find some stats here about average attendance and stuff. And I can't really find a good trend. That's something I need to sit down and actually track. But yeah, you're looking at the last time I really sat down and looked at numbers, because I've done it a few times. You are almost always, except for a very rare few, losing fans year by year for no other reason than the fact that they are
they're just not new and exciting as much as they were previously.
Right? Because you're not signing big name players. You're not Europe. It's plain and simple. You need MLS appeals to a very niche fan base, and you need to broaden that a little bit. And I think, again, the influx of more money, more Garber bucks, young DP initiatives, whatever you want to do there, is a positive step. It is now making more of those strides. Again, I am predicting 5-10 years at the earliest that we see something like this. We may never see it. Just the way it is.
Yeah, you're right. Okay, I think
before we move on,
yeah.
Pete Alonso is the greatest hitter in all of baseball. That is all.
Okay, no disagreements here. So, we've had a pretty good conversation on that one. I think we can move on to the next topic, and it has to do with our lovely Gold Cup.
Love the Gold Cup.
Love the Gold Cup. So my question for you, just from a pure, and we could make this a bit broader after we talk about this first, but just from a pure men's national team standpoint, give me some winners and losers from so far from this Gold Cup.
It's a rough one.
Who's increased their value? Whose value is taking the biggest hit so far, just from the men's national team? Yeah.
in terms of the men's national team player.
I mean, it could be coaches, it could be fans, just anything associated with the men's national team.
No, definitely. I think, and we've kind of hit on him already. Daryl Dike is through the roof. He has been, and I get it. He's not. Oh, Henry Kessler joined the Gold Cup roster yesterday.
No, he didn't.
He did. I just looked up the Gold Cup roster. Henry Kessler joins USMNT Gold Cup roster pending CONCACAF approval. Let's go!
Oh, that's phenomenal. But he won't be here for this game, right?
It was 21 hours ago they posted that, so I believe he probably he probably went and flew into wherever they're playing, because it's still CONCACAF has approved. This is at 12:30 today. CONCACAF approved the request for Henry Kessler to replace Walker Zimmerman on the men's national team roster. He will wear the 24 shirt. Let's go, Henry.
It'd be great if he was available for this game.
USMNT will face previous Zimmerman go down hamstring strain, thinning on already light defensive pool. Kessler appeared on. Oh, Kate Cowell got called in as well.
For who?
I don't know. It just says he got called in midweek. So Cowell's in.
Oh, sick.
And Kessler's in.
So I guess maybe they could just bring in another player. But that's great. First comment: they should have left Cade and sent Lewis packing. Yikes.
CONCACAF has allowed team to replace injured players up to 24 hours before the quarterfinal, but they haven't submitted. Okay.
Maybe they just had another open spot.
Oh, he's an option. He's an option to replace Areola. He replaces Paul Areola.
Okay.
So that'll be your. But
hey, I'm here for it.
You couldn't replace him until the group stages were dane.
Okay, so I gotta imagine these guys are probably there already.
Oh yeah, no. Cowell joined them on Wednesday. I believe. My guess is they flew Kessler out as soon as he was done with whatever was going on.
Yeah, did he play? Do you know if he played midweek?
Man, talk about going off on a tangent.
This is what this episode's all about.
They play today at 6, so he's not there today.
They played Miami a couple days ago.
Oh, that's when they smashed. Did he even actually play?
He wasn't there.
He didn't need to play.
No. Obviously, he didn't need to play, but he wasn't there anyway. So you got to figure he was already at least on the move. Yeah, no, my guess is they called Bruce. Bruce were taking him. And he was like, but we're playing. All right, you can have him. That has to be my guess. Bro, how do you look at the entire world and think, yeah, Ryan Shawcross is the answer? Jesus Christ. I don't know. The dude was going to retire, too. He was. So they're like, here's a boatload of money. Come let up 5 goals a game for our team. They said, we're not a retirement league, but I know you were going to retire. Just come here. David Beckham has been away from this game way too long. Anyways, let's go back to the original question. Daryl Dike, I know he was only playing against Martinique, but he proved that he can play bully ball really well. Other person, I think, if we're talking downgrades now, we've talked about it a bunch, but Donovan Pines, my goodness. Awful. I think Turner has also upgraded a little bit in terms of what he's shown he can do. He's had to do like nothing at all. When he did have to do something, he did it, right? Yeah. And then the other one that I think was probably moving up really, really well was oh goodness. Right back. Oh, yeah. Shaq Moore. Thank you. I kept wanting to say Dest so badly. I'm like, no, it's not Dest. Shaq Moore. Shaq Moore has been phenomenal on that wing. Great services all the time. I think he's been really, really class. Those are my guys for me in terms of up and down. What about you? Honestly, I forgot about Shaq Moore, which is that's my bad for that one, but Yeah, I mean he's got to be the guy that's the highest in terms of gained value from the Gold Cup. I
Oh,
mean, he's been
100%.
so good. He's
100%.
he's challenging Reggie for that backup right back spot right now. Like a lot of these guys on this roster probably don't have a chance to make World Cup qualifiers, but
Or he's giving Greg a reason to play Desti on the left with Pulisic over there. Let them combine and do whatever the hell they want, and then
yeah,
throw more on the outside or Cannon, either one of them.
yeah. I mean, definitely. I think you could almost go with if you're looking to take four fullbacks, you could go with Anthony Robinson, Serginho Dest, Reggie Cannon, and Shaq Moore. Because then you could play Robinson or Dest on the left, and then you could play the other two on the right.
Yep.
I don't know if I'm missing anybody, but yeah,
Well,
I mean, right back's deep. I mean, you could, well, Kellen Acosta, of course. I mean, he'll be
we're
wherever you want to play
we're
him.
talking about who's going to back up Kellen Acosta. I think we're
Yeah,
talking.
it's real. Where does Kellen Acosta want to play? Is the question. Does he want to play left back? Does he want to play right back? Does he want to play center mid? Wherever he wants.
Oh man! And before he throws the gloves on and says, "Matt Turner, go back to New England."
Yeah. So I guess to kind of like differentiate a little bit from what you said, I think that other guys that have increased in value, I'll say James Sands,
Absolutely.
done a really good job. I think he's making a case for him to be Tyler Adams' backup, which I've been on board for since the beginning, since before the Gold Cup. Miles Robinson.
Yep.
Not that I think he would make, not that I think that he necessarily would make the World Cup qualifiers unless some guys got injured, but he's certainly making his case to be in that conversation if they needed to bring in a replacement guy. Because
Definitely.
he's done a very good job during this Gold Cup. I know that in terms of playing for Atlanta's defense hasn't been great, but I think showing that you could do it with the national team, I think is a bit more important. I mean, granted, form is obviously going to be a factor for some of these guys that are like in and around that like conversation for those last couple spots. But he's had a very good tournament. He is the guy in the back line now. Walker Zimmerman's out, so he is your guy in the back line to help marshal everything. I mean, you have Sam Vines, Miles Robinson, let's just say Henry Kessler or Donovan Pines. And then Shaq Moore. I mean, I think Miles Robinson is your guy back there. He's got to marshal that. And obviously, Matt Turner behind him helps a lot.
Yeah.
I think Matt Turner would be he'd definitely help out to, kind of control things at the back. But I've liked what I've seen a lot. Obviously some bias in there, but he has done a good job. And then in terms of guys that have lost value, sorry, I don't know were you going to say something?
No, go ahead.
So guys that have lost value, for me, I agree on the Donovan Pines. And while he didn't necessarily get burned for his mistakes against Canada, so it's not as bad as like I feel like his performance didn't feel as bad as like Mark McKenzie versus Mexico. He just looked so uncomfortable on the ball. Just every time he had the ball and he had to do something with it, it was just a 50-50 question as to where that ball was going to go.
He looked like he started playing soccer like 4 years ago. That's what he looked like. He looked like a guy who has gotten himself far enough where he's like, okay, I'm athletic and big and tall and know how to use my body. But this whole kicking the ball thing is new. And that's tough.
Yeah, I mean, that's how I feel he is as a center back. It's like he could defend because he's so big and athletic, but he just does not have technical ability. Like he just can't pass the ball. He can't dribble, which if you have James Sands playing next to him, it may not be the end of the world and you could possibly make it work. But boy, is it still risky.
Oh, that's what I was going to say. I was actually going to say something. I kind of forgot about it. You said Sands is Tyler Adams' backup. Imagine James and Tyler Adams together in front of a back four of I don't even care with McKinney in front of them and then that front three that we usually have. or Yunus Musa off the bench, and you can drop one of them as
It's
a
just
backup.
gross. Just gross.
It is so much fun to think about those two playing together because they're the same person, right? They cover the same amount of ground. They go into tackles the same way. And if one person goes, the other person's there to pick it up. Like that is
they would just imagine like John Brooks, Chris Richards, Serginho Dest, and like I don't care, Robinson or Cannon on the wing on the fullback spot. And then you have Tyler Adams and James Sands in front of him, Weston McKennie. Tell me how anybody's breaking through that defense. And then you have Zach Steffen in goal.
You know, CONCACAF exists, so they'd find a way. It'd probably be
That's
illegal,
true.
and it'd probably be really, really blatant, but they'd find a way.
They'd like kick the ball and the ref would like head it in.
Goal! Man, I thought Qatar was going to CONCACAF so hard last night. They were playing El Salvador. Went up 3-0. The coach dead ass sits in his chair, puts his feet up, and puts sunglasses on. He's like, I bet this game's over. El Salvador scored 2 in like 7 minutes, and he takes off his glasses like, what just happened? And they kept pressing. I thought they actually did get one. He was called offside. He was off. But I thought they were going to get some 90th minute like deflection, own goal, handball thing. That would have been the most CONCACAF thing ever, and Qatar would have gone out. Oh, it would have been so good. But
yeah,
anyway,
they gotta learn how it works over here.
well,
There are no rules.
I hope they get us because that'd be a really fun way to CONCACAF them.
So another guy that I have on my list of losing value, and I don't know, a lot of people are going to listen and be like, well, does he really have much more value to lose? But I'd say Jackson Ewell.
Don't say Jackson Ewell. Jackson Ewell's off the list. He doesn't have value.
But he keeps getting called in at this point. I don't know how much more Greg or anybody else needs to see to kind of just get a conclusion that he's just not ready for this yet.
I think he is all we have.
Is he?
Just think about it. You got James Sands, who has to play center back right now in this 3-5-2, 5-3-2 system. Tyler Adams, who's hurt / over there. Weston McKennie, who's over in Italy. Who else are we putting in there?
I'll play Eric Williamson in there.
I wouldn't. He's more of an 8 than a 6.
I don't care.
There's really not the only other 6 you're going to play there is right back Kellen Acosta. Do you really want to play right back Kellen Acosta at a position like that? Probably not, right?
He can play anywhere. It doesn't matter.
There are a lot of them there, but I think when it comes time for World Cup qualifiers, Jackson will be so far away from this team. We won't even need to think about it. Me too.
I hope so.
You know who else deserves to be out as far away from this team as possible? Jonathan Lewis. Jonathan Lewis has made like 2 appearances all season for Colorado, probably like 10 in the last 2 years. Somehow he gets a call up. And
I wonder if he got the call up over Mueller, because maybe Mueller was in the middle of those negotiations with Scotland at the time.
That's a good point.
That's got to be my only guess, because there's no way you're putting Jonathan Lewis above Chris Mueller right now.
Where's Terrence Boyd? Tyler Boyd, Terrence Boyd. Which the little guy who plays for
he plays in Turkey, doesn't he?
Yeah.
I don't know. On vacation.
Yeah, Tyler Boyd, American New Zealand soccer player.
Yeah, I don't know what he's up to. I'm trying to think if I have anybody else. I got to give some credit to Greg, because this roster does not look great on paper. And even though we haven't looked great in all the games, he's gotten a result in every game so far.
I'm not sold.
I know. I'm not sold either. I'm not saying like, oh yeah, that like I'm 100% on board with Greg, but like I was worried with this team that he was not going to get results, and like he got wins in all 3 games, which you can't. I mean, you could, in terms of results, you can't ask for more than that. Obviously, like we have some tougher games coming up now, and it's going to be more of a test. But for me, with the team that we have out there, I'd be happy if we just made it to the finals.
Yeah, no, I'd be happy to get there. Qatar is going to be a test. Jamaica is going to be a test. And then whoever we get in the final is going to be a test. There's no more easy games left, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, but even Canada was not an easy game. Certainly not on paper. And yet, with a few like backup guys that we had to throw in there, we got the job done.
Yeah. I think that's more of a no, I'm not going to say that. Like I said, I don't think he's a bad coach. I think he's just playing favorites over. And again, we don't know who said no, right? Like you said, Mueller could have said no. All the center backs could have said no, which is why Donovan Pines is still here, right? Like, and he made the decision, the conscious decision to say, okay, all the guys who played in the Nations League and who are definitely a lock to the World Cup qualifiers aren't coming. We are going to take a look at, because I think he made that comment right as soon as this came out. He said, at the end of this Gold Cup, we will have an in-depth look at basically every single player who is in the running for a World Cup qualifier spot. And that's the way you do it, right? Because this isn't the men's national team of old where you've got your set 25, 26 guys that you know are going to be everywhere. There's really not much more to look at, and you're just trying to win as many trophies as you can. Right, we know who our best of the best is. Now it's time to find who the bench is. I think he's done a very good job of doing it that way.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
That's my take.
I don't know if you've had anybody else to really throw in either. Like I feel like
Giacchini maybe.
He hasn't got a ton of game time.
Right, when he did, he scored. I mean, again, it was Martinique. That's what I said. Not maybe.
Yeah. I think a lot of guys kind of just stayed put.
Yeah, nobody hurt themselves. Nobody got better.
Yeah, like Leggett, Acosta, Zardes. Sean Johnson and Guzan obviously haven't played at all. But, certainly think that some people have helped their case so far. Obviously, these last couple of games are going to be huge. So if guys really step up, this is a really good chance to, make your mark.
Yep, absolutely. And this is, like I said, you could be a hero and just immediately be thrown into the mix, whether you deserve it or not, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I'm cool with it. Good.
I don't have too much more. I don't know if you have anything on your mind.
No.
Figure we're probably about an hour.
Yeah, give or take. Did you have one more thing we were going to talk about?
It's kind of a small thing. I kind of just edited on there today, just from stuff I noticed from this last couple of days and this weekend and stuff. It's a short one, but maybe I could get your take on it. I noticed there's a lot of celebrities that go to these MLS games.
The Kanye.
I just saw a post from LAFC of a number of guys that were at their games. What's your take on this? Does this help the league? Does this hurt the league? Does it have no effect at all?
I mean, it can't hurt, right? Not in all publicity is good publicity, right? You can't hurt, but it depends on what they're going there for there, right? Like if they're going there and they just start immediately saying like, "Oh, this place is trash," I guess then yes, that you can say is probably bad publicity, right? But no, I don't think anybody has gone there and been like, "Oh man, soccer's stupid." I'm just here for the jokes and they're all there to actually enjoy the game and the product that's been put out there. And even if he doesn't become a huge ambassador for the team or the league or whatever, you just put a ton of other eyes. How many followers he got on Instagram, right? A couple million, whatever. You just put that many more eyes on the league as a whole, and not every single person is going to all, fall in love with the league, but now you've got people looking about it and thinking about it. Now it'll pop up on their, Google searches and because the FBI agents are always watching. And eventually the only thing it does is help us grow. Right. As long as they don't start bashing it, I'm cool with it.
Yeah, I think pretty well said there. I think, I guess it kind of depends on the celebrity too. Like if we want to try to get the next generation to be on board with watching soccer over other sports,
we got to get the TikTok kids in.
gotta get the celebrities that they follow in there. We need some more Noah Beck MLS love. You were in the academy, Noah.
I was trying really hard to to think of a
TikToker.
some sort of TikToker to. I couldn't. I couldn't for the life of me think of one person who would have been famous enough to do that.
He was in the RSL Academy, I'm pretty sure though.
Really?
I think so.
Who is
Hold
this?
on. Noah Beck.
What is a Noah Beck?
Have you heard of Charlie D'Amelio?
The name does sound familiar, yeah.
Okay, so she's got a sister, Dixie. And Dixie is
Spill the
dating
tea.
Noah Beck. And I'm pretty sure he was on RSL at one point. I don't think he was with the main team.
There's a Noah Beck on the University of Portland.
Yeah, and then I think he was with RSL.
RSL Academy High School. Is that the same person?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I got an article here from RSL.com. 4 RSL Academy products declared to colleges. Names.
Great ODP state team captain, leading scorer, 2-time all-tournament team selection, 3-time regional captain, 2-time regional pool. Selected to play in Costa Rica with the Region 4 team. Started with the RSL Academy, led team in assists, also trained with the RSL first team. Previously was 4-time state finalist, SC del Sol. Yeah, he sounds like a bum. I could probably take him.
Yeah, well, he's got 29 million followers on TikTok. Think about how big of a post it would be if he just took like one post to post him like at an RSL game. Huge. RSL's attendance through the roof.
He has 7.8 million followers on Instagram.
That's still massive.
Yeah, he posted a picture of him juggling a football. My passion. Go watch my new YouTube video today for some. Oh my God, Nick Raimondo commented on it. I see you.
Nick Raimondo was there before he was a TikTok star.
Bradley Martin commented on it. Soccer.com commented on it. What did I do wrong growing up? How did I miss this?
You didn't get on TikTok.
Evidently.
Okay. I don't got much more, to be honest with you. That's my list.
Yeah, I'm done. I'm kind of angry watching this now.
Okay. Yeah, it's a good time for you to end then.
Yeah, this is how? Like, what did he do to become this famous? Post a couple of videos of him doing some weird dances.
You sound like an old man.
Because I am, and I'm angry.
The kids nowadays, they just doing their dances and they're making millions of dollars.
And I'm out here working 60 hours a week, getting yelled at for nothing.
That sounds like a you problem.
Yeah.
All right, wrap this thing up, Grandpa.
I'm just trying to say, all right. Yeah. Dreams to reality. Yeah, he did. He played on the RSL Academy. All right, Noah Beck. I know you listen to our podcast. Get yourself to a game, promote the league, become the guy.
League ambassador
Noah Beck. How much do you think it costs to get him to be a league ambassador?
Oh, God. A lot of money? I don't know. The league's got to have the money. You got how many teams in here now?
We just got $325 million for
exactly.
Sure, you could.
FCC probably just paid that same money too. He probably got like $1 billion in expansion
You're
fees.
sitting on tons of money. They can get it.
Yeah, they could do it.
All right, I'm done here. You done?
Yeah, I'm done.
All right. Thanks everybody for checking out our podcast, listening to it, watching it, whatever you've done. Go ahead and make sure you follow us on all forms of social media: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, because we're all TikTok stars now. I'm going to tag Noah Beck in everything that we do now.
Go ahead. He's never going to respond.
It doesn't matter. So, yeah, just search the Designated Players Podcast. We'll pop up. I'm sure we will. Make sure you are following us wherever you get your podcasts so you know when we go live. Give us a rating, a share, let everybody know that we are still recording. We still exist. Other than that, you got anything else?
Nope.
All right. We'll see everybody for episode 18 in about a year. No, we'll see everybody next week for episode 18. See ya.